Well, this just took a very interesting turn. Trade deadline hot stove is heating up by the hour it seems, as contending teams, including the Mets, look to improve. Who's available, who's not, what's fact, what's fiction, we'll examine today. I'm your host for today here on Mets Digest, and before we dig in on all that, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up to please subscribe, because as you can see, nearly 70% of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed, so please take a quick second to do that. It is appreciated for sure. So let's dig in on today's topic. I want to talk about a certain outfielder, DH, mostly DH from the American League, who could be a potential trade target for the New York Mets, and that is Brent Rooker, slugger from the A's, a two-time All-Star. Let's dig in on this story. This is from Jason Burke of SI.com, covering the Athletics for that outlet. Could New York Mets try to lure two-time All-Star slugger away from A's? The Mets have quite a few prospects that could help push the A's rebuild along. They're likely to target bullpen arms this trade deadline, but MLB insider Joel Sherman presented an idea that the Mets could try luring the A's designated hitter Brent Rooker away from the green and gold in exchange for a slew of prospects. Of course, the A's would prefer to keep Rooker, and there has been no reporting done to this point that any of the team's key offensive bats are available. But at the same time, Rooker is a 30-year-old DH on a roster filled with rookies and fairly inexperienced players. If the A's were closer to contention, perhaps he'd serve a bigger role to getting them to the postseason. The A's and Rooker agreed to an extension before the year began for 5 years and $60 million, making him the face of the franchise as the team continues their march toward Las Vegas. And we have another. Let's continue with Jason Burke's piece right there, because this is very interesting here. While Rooker's name hasn't been mentioned in rumors to date, the fact that the club is willing to listen to huge offers for former All-Star closer Mason Miller should mean that not too many players are completely untouchable. One name that could perk up the A's front office would be right-hander Nolan McLean, the Mets' number 3 overall prospect. He has a huge 70-grade slider and has posted a 3.04 ERA across 64 and third innings in AAA Syracuse this year. So it's interesting. I mean, to dive in a little bit, even to think about Billy Beane and his history, this is right up his alley, getting prospects in exchange for a position player, for a baseball player on the heading towards the wrong side of 30s, so to speak. And he's under contract, and that's a very tradable, very reasonable contract for the Mets or really any team to take on in a trade. But like with any trade, it all depends on what you want to give up. What's also very interesting is that Brent Rooker did respond to some of these rumors. This is from Christopher Hennessy of yahoosports.com. Athletics DH and All-Star Brent Rooker said he will not be moved at the trade deadline in a recent appearance on Foul Territory. For Rooker, I signed the extension to be where I am, to be where I want to be. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in the people that we have on our team, on our roster, on our coaching staff, in the building. I believe in everything we have going on, and I want to be a part of that. That's from Christopher Hennessy, and that's from Brent Rooker from his very mouth on the Foul Territory podcast, responding to the rumors. But just because a player says that they're not going to be traded or that they don't want to be traded, that doesn't mean that they are staying on their current team per se. Lots of strange things have happened at the trade deadline, and you know, agents could convince players that moving to New York City and playing for a team like the Mets in contention could really raise his value, his profile. Of course, endorsements come with him playing in New York on a big stage, and potentially, and dare I say likely, in the playoffs as well. This season could be a huge boost for Rooker's profile, as opposed to playing in Sacramento, California. But we can dig on some more about Rooker and even Nolan McLean. Let's dig in more on that. These are Brent Rooker's career stats. As you can see, the tantalizing 927 OPS last year with a 5.6 WAR. That is certainly why he's getting attention, and likely is the A's are fielding calls and offers for Rooker. That I'm quite certain of. there's plenty of teams out there that are looking for bats, and the A's are not a contending team this year at all. So there's a chance that Rooker could be on the market, but a little bit lower this year. Of course, you see the 853 OPS down, but plenty of home runs, plenty of pop. Could be a definitely a potential help for any team, including the Mets in the home stretch, down the home stretch of the season. These are his, actually, I wanted to just take a look at this to remind you guys or let you guys know that you are most getting very much a DH out of this deal should Brent Rooker go to your team, should he come to the Mets. For the most part, just a DH over the course of his career, and lots of games where he did not finish in the field, if he even did start those games. This is this year in the outfield, 15 games total, but did not finish all of them. That's what those stats are. But let's take a look at Nolan McLean's numbers as well here. Yeah, he's been pretty damn productive minor league pitcher, and it's definitely a decision if you want to give up a young potential, very solid starting pitcher for Brent Rooker, who's had only that one monster year, but 840-ish OPS is definitely worth considering, and perhaps Nolan McLean could be a potential trade candidate. Not every minor league player the Mets draft is going to make it all the way to the major leagues with that team, with the New York Mets, and Jonah Tong is just skyrocketing towards being the top pitching prospect. So the Mets will not be trading him. That would be pretty surprising. It would have to be for a star, I would say, in my opinion. But you can see Nolan McLean has got pretty good strikeout numbers over the course of his career. Mostly, he's averaging over a strikeout per inning. So good to see that. You don't want to get rid of that for a bag of peanuts exactly, or anything like that. But what do you guys think? Can the Mets lure Rooker away from the A's? Would it take a haul of prospects? What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up Nolan McLean? But definitely like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you think. And let's go Mets.